Welcome to StarSpeak with astrologer Maureen Richmond. Here's where you'll find the latest news on what's up with the heavens. Looking for the inner message from outer space? This is your place. So join me in welcoming your host, astrologer Maureen Richmond.
Welcome, star friends. This is astrologer Maureen Richmond, and you're listening to StarSpeak on the UNX Digital Broadcasting Network. Today's date is December 20th, the year 2023, and our conversation for tonight is going to focus on the powerful energies now incoming right here at the end of December 2023. In fact, they're so strong that I think you ought to know you should hang on to your hat. The wild energies of late December 2023 are just about to hit. With the moon now rapidly waxing, we're on our way to the next full moon, and we can already feel the acceleration of emotional intensity, of creative activation, and all the feelings that come with the full moon. It's really starting to rise within us now, even though the moon is still just waxing. We're waxing along with it in our own processes. Now, that's not all that's ahead. The sun moves to conjunction with Mercury, which is now retrograde, and that's a thing. While also later this month, Mercury and Mars join up in Sagittarius to square Neptune. That's quite a lot of astrological happening packed into a small period of time. High energies, intensive information, downloads, heightened psychic sensitivity, and anomalous happenings are all on tap as a result of these energies incoming. And we're going to hear about it all on StarSpeak tonight for December 20th, 2023. Let's take a look first at the week ahead for December 20th through 27th. But let me give you a little bit of context first. Every week here on StarSpeak, I talk to you about the astrological energies affecting everyone, all of the people on planet Earth, not just any particular group. So what I have to say here each week applies no matter what month you were born in, what day you were born in, what year you were born in, what country you were born in, or any other stripe that you may have. These are the collective astrological influences that condition the experience of humanity across the board. These very energies are what we work with to weave the tapestries of our lives and our existences. Always, I'm looking at the astrological influences as they affect the evolution of consciousness on our planet. That's right, the evolution of consciousness, not just the ups and downs of a day's time, not just our emotional patterns, which are important, but that's not the totality. What we're really looking at here is how we move through the stages of consciousness as a group to our higher potential. Part of that higher potential is recognizing our place within the solar system, within the galaxy, and within the universe of galaxies, and the metaverse, which is beyond that. Here on planet Earth, that realization is currently taking a particular form. That form we know as the UFO phenomenon. It's been going on for thousands of years here on this planet, but with greater and greater intensity in the last 100 years or so. And that trend is sure to continue. So, as I talk about the astrological energies here on StarSpeak, I also relate those energies to humanity's experience of the great beyond as it is embodied in the UFO phenomenon. So, that's in the mix. For the week ahead of December 2027, there are all kinds of energies coming into the picture that intensify our own personal, individual spiritual quests, as well as that of the entirety of the collective humanity. Right now, if you're listening live, you're really feeling one of the strongest energies that's on the table right now, and that's the opposition between the planet Venus and the planet Uranus. An opposition occurs when two planetary bodies are on opposite sides of the Earth. Yes, astrology measures the condition of the solar system from the perspective of the Earth. Is that because astrologers think that the Earth is the center of the solar system? No. We know where the center of the solar system is. But it is our point of view. It's the place from which we look out into space. It's our standpoint, so to speak. So it's important. And the arrangements of the planets in the solar system relative to our standpoint matters on an energetic level. Venus right now stands on one side of the Earth and Uranus on the opposite. This arrangement takes place once every year. So it's not terribly infrequent or rare, but it certainly packs a punch. And it creates a tension as those two planets on the opposite sides of the Earth pull us in different directions and create a stretching and a reaching for something greater and beyond. And sometimes we don't even know what that is. It pulls us beyond our present limits. That's particularly true of the Venus-Uranus opposition because Uranus is one of the outer planets. Out there at the edge of the solar system, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They kind of connect the center of the solar system, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Earth, with the great beyond. That's the role and function of the outer planets in the astrological symbolism. So it's one of those outer planets that we're working with now, with Venus opposing Uranus. The outer planets represent, stand for, and bring to us the realizations of the higher dimensions, that which operates beyond time and space, and also advanced states of consciousness, including advanced technologies. These are all associated with the planet Uranus, which was originally discovered this time around in human experience in the late 1700s. That was the point at which the Industrial Revolution began, and humanity started to automate all of its tasks and to use mechanical devices, often powered by electricity a little bit later on. And so this is a whole new dimension of experience for humanity, which started about the time that humanity became aware of the planet Uranus. At the same time, there was a total paradigm shift in the image of what an acceptable form of government constituted. Right around the time of the discovery of Uranus, we have the American Revolution, which preceded it some, and then the French Revolution, which was right around that period of time. And then right after that, a whole slew of revolutions of independence in Europe and South America. The peoples of the world became activated and energized, inspired and motivated by the ideals articulated by those revolutions of independence, which included the inherent value of the individual person, the right of each person to be treated with dignity and respect, and the possibility of governing by consensus or democratic process. That was a wholesale rejection of the prior paradigm for governmental management, which had descended from ancient times in the form of the divine right of kings and queens. And that was a different model for human interaction that focused upon the privileged few and pretty much disregarded everybody else. Everyone else was just a chattel of the state, a slave with very little worth or ability or right to think for him or herself or to determine his or her own path in life. That paradigm altered radically. Really, it was discarded. It was thrown out as the leading image of what human life can be all about. And that happened right around the time that the planet Uranus was discovered. The principle of synchronicity says that two things which take place at the same time are inherently related. And so those revolutions of independence and that enormous shift in human consciousness is related to the planet that was discovered or came into the view of humanity at that same time, Uranus. So Uranus stands for this tremendous drive or thrust towards independence, individual human worth, and a widespread and widely distributed knowledge base that empowers everyone to think for him or herself, each person to do their own independent analysis. When Venus and Uranus are opposed like they are now, all this energy and characteristic of Uranus is extremely amplified. We're really feeling it. And it can make us restless, maybe even somewhat agitated or nervous, and feeling somewhat, maybe, shall we say, dissatisfied with our conditions. We want more. We want more of all the advancement that we can feel or intuit in ourselves. We want to break free. We want to move ahead rapidly. We're not content to stay in our own zone, whatever it was before. We want to expand. The opposition of Venus and Uranus stimulate that kind of desire to expand, to get beyond our limitations and restrictions as well. So we have those two things working on us, the desire to reach beyond, as well as the motivation for accelerated evolution that comes from Uranus. When you stir that all up in the pot, you get a sense of discontent or malcontent, or perhaps a feeling of unease. And that is very strong right now as this program is being recorded, because the Venus-Uranus opposition will be precise or exact at 1:04 a.m. Central Standard Time on tomorrow, December 21. So, in other words, in about 7 hours from when you're first hearing this discussion, if you're listening live. Wednesday the 20th and Thursday the 21st of December are strongly affected by this Venus-Uranus opposition, which is really stimulating us to move beyond the known, the familiar, and to try something different. In fact, it's kind of pushing us along in the social arena, which is ruled by Venus, to new affiliations, to new associations. And the whole picture is related to what the sign Aquarius promises. The sun is not currently in Aquarius, it's in Sagittarius, but over in 2024, we're going to have a big blast of Aquarius energy when Pluto enters that sign in late January. We're getting a little preview of the Aquarian Uranian energy right now with this Venus-Uranus opposition. For Uranus is the planet associated with the sign Aquarius. So we are getting a little demi-Aquarian activation here for a couple of days. And it really makes us aware that we want to expand our social network, because that's what Aquarius and Uranus are all about. They're about connecting with other minds, perhaps telepathically even, or by wireless methods, connecting with other minds that are on the same wavelength with us. We want to move into that world and experience the intellectual and spiritual activation or stimulation, which results from that kind of synergy. That's what Aquarius is all about. It's the sign that symbolizes groups, associations, and situations where people come together on account of shared consciousness, thoughts, or beliefs. Not so much because they are in the same geographical location, that's another kind of association or affinity, or not so much because they have a biological tie as in the family. But under Aquarius, the connections, the friendships, the collaborations, partnerships, and team workings that arise happen because of a similarity of consciousness, being on the same mental wavelength, in other words. So we're getting a little blast of that right now, Wednesday and Thursday, December 20 and 21. As a result, there's some disruptions and changes as we retool for a different set of associations. There are changes of patterns, rapidly altering conditions surrounding us, and this is related to the Venus-Uranus opposition, as well as retrograde Mercury, and I'll get to that in just a minute, manifesting as some degree of social tension as we are pulled into new experiences and new perspectives. Anybody out there feeling a little bit of trepidation and anticipation? Well, that's consistent with the Venus-Uranus opposition, because we are moving into new and different territory. To the part of us that is comforted by habit and custom and routine, this is challenging. Now, there's another very important influence that we're working with right now, and that's the fact that the sun is about to move into Capricorn, which is to say that the Earth is reaching its point in its orbit around the sun, at which the northern hemisphere experiences the least amount of daylight hours, and the southern hemisphere experiences the greatest amount of daylight hours. That's the Capricorn solstice. Now, this is more difficult for the northern hemisphere people right now, because when we reach the Capricorn solstice, it signifies the victory of the force of darkness. The force of darkness in nature has been growing in the northern hemisphere and for the northern hemisphere population since the autumnal equinox, or the Libra equinox, when we experienced equal amounts of daylight and dark. Since that time, the daylight has been growing shorter and shorter and shorter. There's something very symbolic and important about that. It signifies our confrontation or battle with the unknown within ourselves, with uncertainty, because that's part of the human experience of darkness. Yes, darkness is wonderful in terms of the dark night sky, allowing us to really clearly see the plenitude of stars, and the infinity of stars out there in deep space. And we really all need to do a great deal more of that. Dark is also good because it brings rest and peace and sleep time. And we need that. We need the dark force, the force of darkness and night, to dream and to connect with our deeper psychic self that is watching everything that goes on in our lives from an unseen place and putting it all together and understanding what it means and what we should and shouldn't do, and talking about that to us in our dreams. And we need the night force for that experience. It balances the day force of our daily activity and our conscious mind. So it's important. The dark force is not bad, but it's powerful. And as an archetypal experience, the winter or dark force evokes in us the sense of trepidation, uncertainty, fear, We don't know what's happening. It's cold and dark. We may feel isolated or disconnected from the source of warmth and congeniality and encouragement and support. We're on our own. So coming to this turning point is important because it signifies the depth of our individual and collective struggles with the night force or the dark. That struggle is the most intense right now as we move into the Capricorn solstice moment, which occurs on December 21 at 9:27 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please adjust that if you're in a different time zone. So, very soon now, tomorrow, if you're hearing this live, we have this cosmic moment that is very important when the sun enters Capricorn and we here on Earth experience the Capricorn solstice. Again, that's December 21 at 9:27 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that, in terms of the circle of the year, really is an astronomical PowerPoint. It's an astronomical PowerPoint because it's one of the 4 critical points in the year, which defines the relationship of our Earth to our sun, our local star. Now, let me say that again. The Capricorn solstice is indeed an astronomical PowerPoint because it's one of the 4 points in the Earth's orbit around the sun, which really clearly defines the Earth's relationship to the sun. Now, what could be more basic than that? We get all our light and energy and life and vitality from the light of the sun, which drives photosynthesis on our planet, the basis of life here. What could be more important than our reception of solar stimulation? So the 4 points in the journey of the Earth around the sun deal with exactly that. How much light we're getting and how it's striking us, how it's coming to us, how much activation from our local star we're getting, how much download from the star being that we are a satellite of we are receiving. And that's why it's really an astronomical PowerPoint in the course of the year. I'll tell you something. December 25 is not that. January 1 is not that. But December 21 is that. It's really the PowerPoint. So if you're looking for a portal in time, a place in time where the veil between the worlds may thin, or where the portal in time and space may open to a different dimension, December 21 with the Capricorn solstice is much more likely to be what you're looking for than 25 December or 1 January. Those 2 dates are much celebrated in Western culture, but they don't really contain the astronomical and energetic power that the Capricorn solstice does. So December 21 at 9:27 p.m. Central Standard Time is your baby if you're looking for a power moment to engage your intentions and your desire to transform and to progress and to know more and to accept more light and knowledge. That's the point at which everything changes and we start in the Northern Hemisphere to receive a little bit more daylight every day. So that's the turning point. The moment at which the night force gives ground somewhat to the light force. And we make that transition. Right around this same period of time now, Wednesday, December 20th and Thursday, December 21st, Mercury is retrograde and it's will have moved back to the 2nd degree of Capricorn to make a perfect 60-degree arc or sextile to Saturn. That too is affecting us on Wednesday, the 20th, and Thursday, the 21st. And it's a distinctly helpful influence that allows for mental concentration, for focus, for managing details, and functioning along the lines of accuracy and accountability. So that's real helpful. But we're also influenced by the fact that the sun is perceived in the same degree of the zodiac as retrograde Mercury on these same days, especially affecting a time pocket defined by December 21, 22, and 23. Again, December 21, 22, and 23, the sun is seen through the same degree of the zodiac as retrograde Mercury. In astrological parlance, we say the sun is conjunct retrograde Mercury. And that's the case for these days, 21, 22, and 23, bringing lots of information into our fields of experience to digest. Kind of like this program you're listening to. And I'll have even more information for you on the other side of the break. So be sure to join me after this upcoming break.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
Welcome back, star friends. You're listening to StarSpeak with astrologer Maureen Richmond, and this is the episode for December 20th, the year 2023. If you were listening in the first segment, you know that if you're feeling a little bit weirded out, there's a good astrological reason. There's some very powerful energies impacting us all through consciousness, and it's important to know about. Specifically, we've got the retrograde Mercury thing going on, and that's changing our points of view. In fact, a flurry of plan changes and attitudes and previous plans is in the making, especially because the sun is conjunct retrograde Mercury on December 21, 22, and 23, greatly intensifying and amplifying everything that retrograde Mercury signifies. Well, what does retrograde Mercury signify? It symbolizes a change in the point of view, a different outlook, or perhaps even an alteration in the informational landscape where we're operating. When Mercury is retrograde, like it is now, it's a very common experience that we get new data. It's different than what we had before, and it changes our position, or we have to adapt to it. things are not quite what we thought they were. Well, okay, is that a disaster? No. Life is an informational journey, is it not? So that's really a big deal right now. We're getting different information, different input, having different conversations with people that we don't usually have conversations with, or on topics that we're not usually talking about. Maybe we may be on the same topics, but approaching it from a different angle. Well, this is all important. And there's something to be learned here. So it's not to be just discounted. However, it's complicated because with the Sun conjunct retrograde Mercury, we experience something kind of like static, mental static, might even be physical static, nervous energy, as tremendous amounts of information come our way and we need time to digest it. Intense conversations occur with the Sun conjunct retrograde Mercury. Powerful exchanges of information, ideas, and content all cluster around December 21, 22, and 23. And in the mix are turnarounds, reversals of position, maybe even changes of heart and mind, and certainly revisions of schedules and plans. So that's just in the mix, and it's to be expected. What can you do about it? Go with it and allow it to be, because it certainly will be, and there's no getting around it. It's complicated because the plans that individuals are making now bear on their holiday activities, and no one likes to be surprised at the last minute with finding out that arrangements are not exactly as planned. Look for that sort of thing and be ready to see the good that may be hidden in what appears to be the bad. December 21, 22, and 23. Now, all that shifts very quickly because Mercury retrogrades all the way back into the sign of Sagittarius on December 23 at 12:18 a.m. Central Standard Time. Again, that's Saturday, December 23. And that too will change the informational landscape that we're working on, but in a good way, because it will focus on travel and where we're headed, all those things which are consistent with the arrow of Sagittarius, and that will shift the situation. Now, there may be complications, delays, uncertainties that come rather forcefully into mind and activity December 21, 22, 23, but it's not permanent. The change comes quickly. Then on Sunday, December 24 and December 25, which is a Monday, there are two very nice astrological influences that are calming, establishing peace, serenity, comfort, really helping to create a context for very pleasant and encouraging or comforting social interactions. And that's the Sun sextile Saturn on Sunday, December 4, and Venus trine Neptune on December 25. All those energies I just described will help to stabilize our minds and our emotions after the topsy-turvy period of December 2021, 22. This will help. December 24 and 25, there are calming energies that are serene and definitely more comforting. From them will flow social harmony and positive connections. That again is on December 24 and 25. But in the background, the moon is waxing and coming up to its full moment on Tuesday, December 26th. At the moment of exact opposition of the sun and moon, or full moon moment, occurs 6:33 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday, December 26th. So yes, we have a pocket of pleasantry on the 24th and the 25th, but in the background, the intensity of full moon is cranking right along. And what do you think it's doing? Well, it's intensifying emotional feelings. It's intensifying interactions. It's intensifying realizations and recognitions. And it's bringing experiences that focalize the message of the universe to us at this time. Again, that all comes to a head on Tuesday, December 26th at 6:33 p.m. Central Standard Time, when the sun reaches 5 Capricorn and the moon stands at 5 degrees of Cancer, the full moon moment. And that will be very important for each one of us in our own individual paths. Then right after that, retrograde Mercury conjuncts Mars, with the both of them square Neptune. So let's break that down. Retrograde Mercury will first square Neptune on December 26 and 27. Then retrograde Mercury will conjunct Mars on December 26 and 28, 26, 27, 28, 3 days there. It'll affect 3 days. And then Mars will move into a precise square with Neptune on the days December 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. That's quite a configuration. There's a thing about Neptune as far as goes the human interaction with the great beyond in the form of the UFO phenomenon. It's often active at times of UFO sightings and encounters by virtue of being conjunct the ascendant, the midheaven, the descendant, or the nadir. But there's another thing about Neptune. It was highly accented and activated on May 17, the year 2022, when for the first time in 50, yes, count it, 50 years, there was a congressional hearing on the subject of unidentified flying objects or unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP. Again, that was May 17, the year 2022. Neptune was outstandingly activated that day by virtue of being in a precise conjunction with the planet Mars, as seen from the Earth, of course. Mars stood 25 degrees of Pisces, and so did Neptune on that very day. That means that Mars and Neptune were on the same side of the Earth. Astrologically, that means merging their energies together into one experience. And what was that one experience? Well, it was the experience of breaking down the barriers of consciousness and of governmental attitude. It was dissolving the walls of refusal and denial, which had operated for a mere half century. I'm joking, of course, an entire 50 years. And it took an extraordinary combination of energies to bring that about, didn't it? Well, of course, there were hearings and plans that happened long before that particular day. But indeed, Neptune was emphasized on that historic day, May 17, the year 2022, when the United States Congress held a hearing on the topic of UFOs for the first time in 50 years. That was the first formal and public hearing in 50 years. So that's a breakthrough, don't you think? I do. All right. That's a little hint about what Neptune can do when it sets to work with its fluidic abilities to wash away and rinse away and dissolve the hard structures of consciousness and thought, the narrow-mindedness, the dominance of the materialistic paradigm. And guess what? Neptune is going to be extraordinarily activated and present in our experience at the end of December, just here in a few days. That's right, because retrograde Mercury will square Neptune, and then Mars will square Neptune. So both Mercury and Mars get in the picture, making a precise 90-degree arc to Neptune in the zodiac, hence massively amplifying and intensifying the impact of Neptune in our daily experience. This makes the period December 26 through 30 extraordinary for its capacity to open the doors of consciousness to the great beyond, whether that great beyond manifests as a meditative experience of peace, serenity for a moment, or something greater like infinity, hints of infinity. Can the human mind experience infinity? Well, We can get bits and pieces of it, that's for sure. Maybe that opening to the great beyond might manifest as powerful telepathic experiences, psychic impressions, engaging dreams, visions, paranormal phenomena, Sasquatch sightings, UFO encounters and sightings, time losses. All of these things are possible because Neptune does warp space and time in its natural work as an emissary of the great beyond. It's one of the outer planets. So one of the outer planets is really going to be working on us in the final days of this month and in the final days of this year of 2023. I say, hold on to your hat, because that's going to be a very powerful configuration. Retrograde Mercury and Mars together in the sign of Sagittarius, making a precise square to Neptune in Pisces. Interestingly, Mercury has been retrograde at many of the important historical UFO sightings and encounters. Neptune has been emphasized, as I said earlier, also in those situations. So this interval in time contains astrological activations that most certainly have been associated with UFO encounters and sightings in the past. Neptune's influence has been associated with Sasquatch sightings, especially when Neptune is setting or on the descendant. And there will be times during the period of December 26th through 30th that Neptune will be setting as a result of the Earth's natural rotation on its own axis. So there's a lot to bear in mind there. And that's just for the week ahead and a little bit more. What about the year 2024, you say? I have some high points for that year to share with you now. So let's take a look at that and begin to answer that question. It's a big question, and over the year of 2024, I'll be talking about it in much greater detail in StarSpeak episodes yet to come. But for December 20, 2023, let's just look at some of the highlights for 2024. Well, right off, the important thing to know is that Pluto, which has been in Capricorn for about 15 years now, is going to begin its transition into the sign of Aquarius on January 20th, the year 2024. Now, Pluto was in Aquarius briefly in the year we're just now completing, from late March through early June. So that was April and May and a little bit more, almost 3 months worth of time, during which we had a little preview of what Pluto in Aquarius will bring. When Pluto moves into a sign, it emphasizes the issues associated with that sign. So Pluto in Aquarius is going to emphasize the issues associated with Aquarius. Aquarius, as I said earlier, is the sign which is associated with affiliations, connections, friendships, linkages that we have with other people in organizations because we want to be there, because we believe in a particular idea or point of view that the other people also share. Aquarius stands for friendships, partnerships, collaborations, and teamworking that arises because of a shared point of view or intellectual belief system. That's the kind of thing that's going to get emphasized with Pluto's presence in Aquarius. So we had a little experience of that in the early part of 2023, and we're going to have a much bigger experience with that in 2024 because Pluto will move into Aquarius and stay there for about 6 months this time. In other words, twice as much time as it stayed in Aquarius in 2023. So we'll get twice as much of a preview. And then eventually Pluto will move into Aquarius to stay. That will be late November 2024, after it retrogrades back into Capricorn one more time. But in late November 2024, Pluto will enter Aquarius and stay there for about 18 years. So it really is the shape of things to come. It really is one of the key influences or factors that will determine what our future looks like. It will be Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto moves around the solar system once every 248 years. So it hasn't been in Aquarius for a long time, anytime recently. But the last time that it was in Aquarius was that same period of time that I talked about earlier in regard to the discovery of Uranus, which following led to decades of revolutions of independence. The United States of America was founded under Pluto's final stages in Capricorn with the Declaration of Independence. But the actual fighting, the actual American Revolution took place after Pluto had entered Aquarius, emphasizing not the executive privilege associated with Capricorn, but the democratic ideal, the idea of teamwork, partnership, everybody collaborating, cooperating, and feeding in their ideas to what would be a good way to go forward. That's the Aquarian way. It's a revolutionary sign that tends to upend the prior domination of an exclusive power cabal. The power cabal arises under the archetype of Capricorn, which does bring an important lesson to humanity about power and how it's used from the executive position. But it's a whole different story with Pluto in Aquarius, and that's what we're getting ready to see. And that starts on January the 20th. It's an anti-authoritarian sign, Aquarius. It really is. Of course, now, it also is a sign that gives great power to the social cohesion or the social situation. And certainly pressure can be brought to bear on individuals by, public opinion. And that will be a factor when Pluto emphasizes the sign of Aquarius. But it's a much more egalitarian model for consciousness and its evolution under the sign of Aquarius. So we have that shift coming in January on the 20th, and it will carry right through to the end of July 2024. So that's in the background. Emphasizing that trend will be a Mars-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius that takes place bracketing Valentine's Day. The dates are 11 through 17 February 2024, when Mars reaches the first degree of Aquarius and makes a conjunction to Pluto, which will be sitting right there in the first degree of Aquarius at that time. So with those two planetary bodies merging their energies all on the same side of the Earth in a conjunction as seen through the zodiac, we will have a very powerful impact of Aquarian energies. And that's something to look forward to. Again, the dates are 11 through 17 February 2024. Since Aquarius is an air sign and concerns the space beyond the Earth and air, it's related to air travel and space travel, in fact, and all the technologies that have to do with the transmission of information through the airwaves. There will be emphasis upon all those issues, 11 through 17 February with the Mars-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. And this alone could easily power a governmental paradigm shift towards the recognition of a new landscape of discourse and discussion that will include, instead of ignoring or downplaying, the entire UFO, UAP question. There are forces, of course, that want us to believe that with the demise of the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Act of 2023, with the demise of that the whole discussion is ended. Well, it isn't, because these Mars into Aquarius conjoining with Pluto certainly indicates differently. The name of that act was the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Disclosure Act, UAPTA, which was integrated into the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024, but lost a lot of its significant provisions in the process. And so there are a lot of forces that want us to believe that that's a done deal. It's over with. It's not going to come back. The door has been slammed shut on that possibility of requiring, or the government requiring itself and other entities to be truthful about what it and they know about the UAP situation. But the astrological indications say differently. So look to 11 through 17 February 2024 for important developments in that regard. And then, not to be overlooked for the year 2024, is the important month of April 2024, during which time there will be a total solar eclipse, which occurs on April 8, with retrograde Mercury at that time in effect. And then a little bit later that month, a Mars-Saturn conjunction. And finally, a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. It's rare that so many potent astrological influences would cluster together like that. So April 2024 is going to be a standout month. Interestingly, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which will occur 14 through 27 April 2024, is very similar to an astrological arrangement that pertained during the 1941 Cape Girardeau UFO crash. That's right. There was a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in effect when that occurred. And it was even in the same sign that 2024's Jupiter-Uranus conjunction will occur in, Taurus, an earth sign. So interestingly, when the Cape Girardeau crash occurred, a disc-shaped object plowed right into the earth, the soil, the very ground in a rural area, and dug up a deep furrow. Well, Taurus is an earth sign, and it deals with the riches and resources of the earth, the nutrient base that lives in the soil that makes it possible for plants to get their minerals and everything they need out of the soil so they can grow. That's part of the earth sign symbolism of Taurus. It stands for the productivity of the earth. It stands for the reproductive power of nature in plants and animals. It is a sign which creates sustenance and substance, Taurus. Yes. So when there's a Jupiter, Uranus, or any conjunction in Taurus, it tremendously emphasizes all those themes. And we can expect that again, bringing the energies of the distant heavens, as symbolized by Uranus, right down to the very ground on which we stand. So let me give you the dates again for April 2024. Total solar eclipse, April 8. Mars-Saturn conjunction, it will affect a good long time, about a week, 7 through 13 April. And the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which also will be in effect for, well, a couple of weeks, but especially the 14th through the 27th of April. So those are all high times to be looking forward to as we go on our journey of exploring the adventure of consciousness. A little bit farther down in the year 2024, Jupiter in Taurus makes a sextile to Neptune that will occur on May 23rd, 2024, and affect a couple of weeks before and after that exact date. And that's also a very mild, comforting, encouraging influence that suggests that some of the economic and financial tensions that we've seen with Uranus and Taurus over the past few years will be mollified or modified or eased in some way. So that's something to look forward to also. That's May 23, 2024, when Jupiter makes the exact sextile to Neptune, spreading its helpful energetic influence for a couple of weeks before and after that date. So right now, that's a lot to think about. But you've been listening to StarSpeak with astrologer Maureen Richmond telling you all about the week ahead and the year ahead. It's time to hang on to your hat because the wild energies of late December 2023 are now in effect. The full moon is upon us. The sun is conjunct retrograde Mercury. And in just a few days, we have the magical configuration with retrograde Mercury and Mars square Neptune. Thank you so much for stopping by to give these important ideas your consideration and attention. I'm right here on Wednesday nights at 7 Eastern and 6 Central to talk about the influences of the zodiac and how they play into the evolution of consciousness here on planet Earth. This is Maureen Richmond signing off for the UNX Digital Broadcasting Network.